Hey everybody, it's Justin here. Just finished up week 24 of 52 Kinds of Love, and here's how it went. So week 24 was dedicated to Al Carrillo, and there's a little book there because he was my poetry professor when I was at the University of Dayton. While I was a math major, I took pretty much every poetry course that existed at the university, and Al taught the majority of those. I had him for a couple classes, and he was just a big inspiration for me to pursue that passion. I sucked terribly when I started writing, but I wanted to get better at it, and so I took a lot of classes, and Al really challenged me and pushed me boundaries and limits of what I knew poetry to be, and because I got to stretch those borders, I really got to explore writing on my own in a whole different manner. So it was cool to dedicate a week to him because I think I had maybe talked to him once since I graduated 8 years ago, and he definitely deserves a little bit more recognition than that. So I kind of felt bad about that. But I called him up. It was the first time I've ever called him. But it was kind of neat. We talked about music and concerts and bands that originally inspired us to write. He told me a little bit about his son and his daughter, and we talked about the personality of teenagers as I teach high school. So yeah, we talked about some different things like that. It was cool to catch up, and we made a plan for the week. The next couple days we texted. We talked about how we both wanted to be singer-songwriters when we were young. We actually both started writing poetry in 11th grade, which is kind of a cool little coincidence. But yeah, my mom actually tells me this, that when I was in college at Dayton, my freshman year, I had typed out an email to her and said, yeah, I want to drop out of college. I don't like what I'm doing. I want to write songs for a band for a living. So she wasn't very happy, but she's like, okay, Justin, yeah. But it's cool that I actually got to incorporate poetry and use that over the years, and I put it in my classes to this day. I write a poem for every student, so that's cool that I get to really carry it with me, even though it's not a profession or anything. But yeah, we talked a lot about what we do in the off season in the summertime, and sitting on porches, and Al was listening to REM with his wife this week, so I was playing some REM at home here. He mentioned he likes Sean Lennon. He's going to see him in a week or two, so I looked up Sean Lennon. I hadn't heard too much of his actual music, so that was kind of neat to dive into. I also started to reread his book that I had gotten, what I had found out almost 10 years ago. It's in 2004 when he signed this for me. So yeah, I had been rereading this for the week and actually got inspired by some of the stuff Al had said to write some poems. So I wrote some poems this week, and then on Thursday I actually went to a poetry reading. Well, that's a lie. I went to an open mic where everybody played guitars, and I was the only one doing poetry readings, but it was fun. I got some compliments. Yeah, I hadn't done that in a long time, so it was cool to jump back in there too. And on Friday, the big plan, I said, Al, I hope you're free sometime. I'm going to drive down to Dayton. And so on Friday afternoon, I drove down to Dayton, and we hung out on the porch. And, excuse me. We hung out on the porch and just talked and chilled, and he grabbed his guitar, and we went and had lunch together. And, yeah, we basically just spent all afternoon just hanging out. It was a really cool day, and I really just overall in the week, just wanted to thank him for kind of the light that he had, shown me in poetry and challenged me. And I think that anytime that someone challenges you or pushes your boundaries, that it makes you explore a little bit more in every aspect of your life. So I just really appreciate how seriously that he took his profession, and how much care that he put into each one of his students. So yeah, that's kind of how the week went. I gave him a little CD since we had been talking about music, and I'm also gonna mail him some poems that I had put together in the past year, so he can get a little insight of that too. And then even just today, I watched a DVD called Brave New Voices, which I've had for a while. It's actually about youth slam poetry, so like high school competition for slam poetry. And I think this kind of says how much poetry means to me, because like I was just sitting on my couch Sunday afternoon, just crying at the intensity that these 17 and 18-year-old kids can portray through poems. Just gave me goosebumps. So I really believe in the power that it has, not only the written word, but the spoken word as well. And that's one of the reasons that I really still carry poetry with me, because of the influence that I think that it can have. So yeah, so that's how my week went. It was really cool to get back in touch. And next week will be dedicated to Jeff Hers. So check out next week, see who Jeff Hers is, why there's a little bare foot on there, and how the week went. All right? Bye. Peace. 52 kinds of love.